All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. We're going to be seeing for these two Google searches, does it have BSS for each Google search, yes or no? So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent to capture. More on that, pin post, home post on the video, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if a boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, wherever on the left, highest intent, wherever on the right, lowest intent. But if a boudoir photography business is falling, they're missing at least one cohort, or at least probably two cohorts as well from this intent spectrum. Now, wherever on the left, we got BSS boudoir search sameness, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But way on the left, that's what we're talking about here. These videos, talking about the highest intent peeps, people searching for boudoir photo shoots right now in our, right in our city, searching on social media, searching on Google, and wherever on the left, the lowest intent people. That's our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a unique niched problem. And we actually, with that brand, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So now onward. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page, page 2 or deeper. That's gonna be a fast death for our business, because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And so if we're stuck on page 0, that's a fast track to death. And if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's not good enough either, because then we're looking the same as all the other boudoir photographers. Probably going to be none other boudoir photographers. So buyers are just going to click and open up everybody's link, get a quote from everyone, price shop everyone. Whereas 80% of those buyers, the bulk that we care about, would never even go to page 2. So even on page 1, we're still getting super, super, super price shopped. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 in Google is not normal. It's an extremely small number. It's normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google, extremely, extremely, extremely common though. People are accepting of it being common because people do not know about the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, the market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up on Google My Business profile on Google Maps. They got their website up, trying to rank page 1 for boudoir photographer. And so more supply. Same with someone's getting a new camera, and then they're talking, they're posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that, saying they offer boudoir shoots now as well. Again, another increase in supply. And COVID was a big, massive supply shock of boudoir photographers, because a lot of people lost their jobs. People still need to earn money though. Everyone's got a phone with basically everyone's got a phone with a super powered camera. So offering boudoir photo shoots even for new peeps was, kind of an easy in. And as a result, super increased the supply of boudoir photographers. And if there's the same number of buyers remained, then, then it's going to be harder and harder for sellers to make the same amount of money. Now, false belief of page 1 equality. This, from what I've seen, is the #1 killer boudoir photography businesses. What this is boudoir photographers saying, all right, I got 1 slot on page 1 here on my website, and some other boudoir photographers came in, entered the marketplace, got their website ranked higher than mine, so pushing me down to page 2. But that's simply how it is. Hopefully one of them deletes their websites, and maybe Google will put me back on page 1, because right now I'm invisible on page 2. Approximately 80% of searchers never even get to me, and just kind of letting those things happen. That's a false belief. Google actually will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want, as we put in the effort to acquire. And Google wants to give us those slots. I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in only 10 days with this new methodology I developed. Now, final piece here on the left side, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. So left side of our universe, disappearing boudoir photographer. Well, that's because, if we got BSS, we're either 0 or 1 slot on page 1. So basically, we're either on page 2 of Google, which means we're definitely disappearing. Approximately 80% of searches never even get to page 2. And if we're on page 1, then and we only got one slot. We're looking the same as everyone else. We're being price shopped to death, and we're actually, disappearing as well. And so, disappearing boudoir photographer did having BSS. This is the canary in the coal mine, kind of warning flag, the warning light, check engine light going on, saying, "Hey, we are on a path now to actually lose for the boudoir photography business itself to disappear." But luckily, we now have a solution. That solution, we know that now, know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S cubed methodology. And when we treat, so we invented this, so that's how I know it works. It's exactly what the name is, social search saturation. We're saturating social search. And for the highest intent keywords. And basically, it's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains. When we saturate social search, where there's like the small streams, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, they actually flow into the Amazon River. And with the Amazon River, what actually happens is they all converge to the Amazon River. That's like conversion on page one of Google. Now, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually allows them to overcome market saturation extremely quickly. The only one other option would be, actually having a well-known brand. That takes, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years. AI's here, coming to take people's jobs, and we got to max rank as fast as possible, as there's a whole bunch of boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. So, SQ methodology, yeah, it is the only thing I've seen for boudoir photographers that successfully enables them to fight back and overcome market saturation. I mean, imagine if there's a million boudoir photographers in San Francisco, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website, competing to be page one on Google. And what actually happens is we max out our S cubed methodology, literally basically do it as max as possible. And as a result, we're getting like the first 300 slots on social search, first 300 slots on Google search. And when we do that, whenever any buyer searches for Google or, on Google or social search, high intent keywords for boudoir photo shoot in their city, we're basically the only one they find for the first 300 slots. And, we essentially pushed all the competition down to slots 301 or later. So on Google, it's 10 organic slots per page. And 10 organic slots per page is, that's 30 pages we're taking up. Buyers essentially got to go to page 31 to even find out that we are, to find out our competitors. So obviously, whose business is growing in this scenario? Ours, because we saturated basically kind of everywhere they can look. So again, this SQ methodology is the only solution I've seen that allows boudoir photographers to successfully escape markets or successfully grow in spite of market saturation, kind of no matter how many boudoir photographers are out there. That happens relatively quickly. Brand, dude, takes like 5 to 10 years. So we ain't got no time to build brand right now. Now, one tree with SQ methodology, we have page one visibility. And kind of an initial bonus benefit we get from this is every new slot we take on page one of Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. So when we do that, when we make them invisible, we know that literally 80% of boudoir photographers or searchers do literally never go to page two. So if we kick them onto page two, off page one and on page two deeper, they're effectively invisible to approximately 80% of the market. So that's an extra immediate benefit. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So when we get that, we have the GBC recommended minimum of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google search page one. Because at 3 out of 10 slots, a lot of boudoir photographers, most of them will be at 1 out of 10. So when the buyer's scrolling down Google and they're seeing us with a massive number of boudoir photo shoots, or basically kind of with our option, then what actually happens is we're going to be seen as like super awesome solution. People are going to be wondering, why Google is recommending us 3 different times and everyone else only once. So that's why we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum is 3. And as we actually increase, as we some boudoir photographers rarely will actually have two slots on page one. So we actually want to hit those. And, when we hit those, we want to, or when they hit those, our 3 out of 10 slots will actually still overpower them. So it's essentially taking care of all scenarios. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, VBP. So it's our micro universe here. Got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. We finally have a solution, thankfully. S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. This is our micro universe here. Now here are my results from using S-cubed methodology when I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So basically I wanted to rank for this keyword. So I already know, use S-cubed methodology. So we got me, organic slot Instagram here. Organic slot page 1. Organic slot page 2. Organic slot page 3. Slot 4. I mean, not page 1, page 2. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. Then we got slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we literally got slot 10, or we got 9 out of 10 slots. And we achieved this with only 10 days utilizing our S-cubed methodology. So these are my results I've gotten for it. So now we're back to the meat. Let's see this boudoir photography business. If these 2 Google searches, see if this business has BSS, yes or no, for the local search and the city search. All right, there we go. So we're going to organic. Let's see. All right, here we go. Yep, that's one. We got one. So this is the local search, Brentwood, Tennessee. All right, so we got one. We got, let's see. Now, we only got one. We got 1 out of 10 organic slots page 1 on Google. So all right, we definitely have BSS for the local search. Now let's check our city search. Same thing. So now we're looking at Nashville, Tennessee. All right. Man, was that 10? 1, 2. I guess the discussion took up a huge chunk. Dang. Dude, we're at 0 out of 10 on Nashville. So we got boudoir search statements for both. Or this boudoir photography business has boudoir search statements for both Google searches. But now we got something that can fix that, S-cubed methodology. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you went and you've done your local search, your city search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, you noticed you either had BSS, so you have BSS for either one or both of those searches, or you are you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google for again either 1 or 2 of those slots, and you've accepted that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief, and you've actually seen Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. So you're saying, okay, now S-cubed methodology makes sense, and you're seeing that this is the only path forward for yourself, and you've actually been waiting for something like this, and you're liking the initial benefits, more page 1 links on Google. You're liking the second initial benefit, which is actually like second a little bit more, which is be able to kick your competitors off of Google, make them invisible, page 2 and deeper. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, more, new gear eventually over time. More people hop on to become boudoir photographers, so it gets harder and harder over time. But you're looking ahead and you're like, man, AI is currently taking people's jobs. And last time people lost jobs, COVID, a new flood of boudoir photographers came in because everyone's got a smartphone with a great camera. So it's easy to start saying shoot boudoir down now, offer it cheaply, kill margins for everyone. I'll later compete boudoir photographers, kind of just annoy, basically like take up slots page 1 on Google. And so you're seeing, okay, you're seeing more and more people are going to be entering the marketplace above and beyond the people getting new gear, forced to because of losing their job due to AI. So you're like, okay, we need to actually fortify our slots on page 1 and actually have so many backup links that Google wants to rank us on page 1. But since there's only 10 slots, literally, it cannot rank us anymore. But those backup slots will literally be like preventing current competitors from ever ranking on page 1 or any future competitors from ranking on page 1. kind of like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city is below sea level, fortifying against the ocean. So you're seeing, okay, you got to fortify, and you're like, oh, SQ methodology will give me that future benefit as well. That's the exact perfect tool to use to achieve that goal. And you want, you want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you need these things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also looking ahead to the future and the future benefits that we haven't talked about yet of utilizing SQ methodology, which is, we're kind of building these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, our website name, our business name, our name, kind of out there on the internet. And it's kind of like, columns to the, Parthenon, Athens, Greece, or, the spokes into our hub, like them in, the center of a bike tire. Our business name's the hub. So we've got all of these columns plugged into us. And what this is like building AI mindshare for those keywords: age, relevance, frequency, authority, repetition. So we're building AI mindshare for these keywords, and every day we successfully do this, which is exactly what SQ methodology does, we are increasing the probability we'll be recommended here in the most premium placement AI overview up at the top of Google search, which we cannot pay for with ads to get. And so you're seeing that benefit, you're liking that future benefit. You're also understanding that, well, if it's helping with that, it will also increase probability of every single day of being recommended on AI search, ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. You're recognizing the more kind of thematic, invisible thematic keyword columns you plug into your brand, the higher and higher probability every single day recommended to searchers on those platforms. And yeah, Google still owns approximately 90% of global search, but dude, AI search is growing every single day, and Google's kind of slowly decaying every single day, standard Google search. So you're recognizing that you want these benefits, and you're also recognizing, since my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, you can actually box out your competitors from ever using this strategy, get all the benefits against them, the immediate benefits, the 3 future benefits, and the 4th one would be, grown actually a known brand approximately 8x faster than conventional methods. And you would, you're recognizing you could actually put massive distance between yourself and any of your current competitors or any future competitors, where basically you get so far ahead, there's like literally basically no chance for them to catch up. And as a result, when you actually want to, since you decide to be first mover on this, because you understand if a competing boudoir photographer hops on this first, then you'd be locked out. You'd be getting kicked off page 1 of all the highest intent Google searches. They'll get to page 2 and deeper, where approximately 80% of the market will never ever see you because they're page 1 and done searches. And we would actually be making up massive progress against you, boxing you out from ever getting on page 1. And me and your competitor would be building up massive momentum and invisible thematic keyword column, backend AI mindshare, kind of invisibly with the AI search recommenders. And I remember last time I did AI search for boudoir photographers in a city with ChatGPT, and recommended me 3. And I actually went and did manual search Google and Facebook simply to see how many are actually out there. Dude, there's like 60. So you're seeing, yeah, we definitely gotta find some way to get on these AI searches. And you actually want, you're saying that if a competitor is making all this momentum, then making all this progress, and you're frozen out, you'd actually have to rederive SQ methodology yourself, or derive it for the first time. You would never actually trust that you derived it 100% correctly, but then you'd have to execute same amount as us every single day. And if you did all that, you'd simply be maintaining the gap between your competitor and me and you. So you'd have to actually double or triple our effort, our output every single day. And then if you were to do that, then you could steal back some of the AI mindshare momentum from us, get some links, but you would never feel 100% confident you've even derived the strategy correct in the first place. So you'd probably not even feel confident putting in the time to do all that. Out execute does 2 to 3x every single day. And plus, who's got 80 hours a day to do that? So you decide to screw that. You decide to be the first mover in your city, block out all your competitors from using this strategy. And if that's you, shoot me a DM. The hospital is currently closed for new patients, but when I do open the hospital up for new patients, shoot us a DM, and we'll see if you qualify to use our S cubed methodology.